and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast proudly brings to you episode number 2 of Collar and Elbow Tie-Up! Featuring Beef the Legend versus Tigerbomb Tom, the Monday Night Wars! Evening, boyos.
Awesome.
That was impressive. That was impressive.
That was Raw, right? Back in the day.
That was the War Zone, because you remember back in the Attitude Area, Raw is War was from 9 to 10, and it had its own theme music. And then the War Zone was on from 10 to 11, and it had, in my opinion, the best opening wrestling theme music that there ever has been.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean that, you know. So here's the thing, and we're going to get into and all that, but I'm going to heal up on the. Yeah, I am going to heal up on the Attitude Era pretty good, but I'll say this: "Thorn in My Eye," which was like the opening theme song for Raw during the Attitude Era, was fucking just the fucking bee's knees. It was amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And then there was one other one that I really liked.
Across the Nation was pretty good.
Yeah.
Is that Move to the Music?
Yep, that's the one. Yep.
Music? Yeah. That was a close second for me, but I still think the Raw Zone was better.
Man, you know what? I didn't even think about adding that. And, man, you're just giving me more ammo for this stuff. Thank you very much.
Move to the music, play that can be... Man, how awesome was that? And how sad is it now that even though they bleeped out the F word, of course, because it was, freaking cable television, even though they bleeped that out, that would never pass the WWE censors nowadays.
Disagree.
That would
NXT.
No.
NXT. Yeah. NXT is oh hell, what's the name of it? I do it every single day.
I don't remember the name of the track.
All out life. I challenge you to all out fucking life. I mean, obviously they bleeped the fucking.
Okay.
But
I'll tell you what. No, there was something I was just what was it? What the hell was I just watching? It was something on the network. It was either it was either I was watching Evolve or I was watching one of the Raw or SmackDowns, and the audience was chanting something with
Evolve.
Was it Evolve? Yeah, I can't remember what.
Shut the fuck up, or you fucked up or something. Yeah.
Yeah. They were chanting "Shut the fuck up," and I was like, "This is on the network." Okay, cool.
Wow, that's surprising they didn't blurt that out.
And look back to right after whenever Roman Reigns beat The Undertaker, and he came out on Raw, and they were chanting "fucking pussy." I was like,
"Whoa!"
Yep. I had that saved.
I missed that one too.
I had that saved on my DVR for the longest time, just to be able to go back and watch that. I was like, "Yes!"
And wrestling fans, wrestling fans and P3 fans, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the fourth member of our crew, Poot the Bard, reigning defending.
You know where he's at.
Etc.
No.
Baby.
Well, we'll let Ransom give him the proper. We'll let Ransom give him the proper introduction. But Poot the Bard is currently out on his championship tour, much like Adam Cole Bay was. So
he's out on Bard Tour 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Living it up, living the champ lifestyle. He's styling, profiling, kissing all the girls, and making them cry.
Off flipping some business cards for Bardic Industries, trying to get that off the ground. So
Yeah, peddling his wares at the local VFW.
He has his he has his thumb in a lot of pies. So that's our Poot the Bard, baby.
Oh my goodness!
And what is he, Ransom?
Oh, and I apologize, Poot, that this wasn't done earlier.
Oh no, it's good now.
Forgive me as the advocate. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alec Ransom. And I can't remember how the rest of the Paul Heyman thing goes because currently at this point in time, I'm 4 beers deep. So I'm the advocate for the reigning, defending, undisputed. Excuse me?
Go ahead.
See, it's easy for me to drive. Well, no, because there's been beers. I can't drive to your house now. But I'll drive some other time and I'll poop on your stoop. Cruiserweight champion of the world, Port the Board, Bor.
Poor Bor.
Oh my God.
Bor.
All right, so for anybody who's not familiar with Collar Elbow Tie-Up, The way it's going to work is it's a debate style forum. Beef and myself are going to be have opposing views. Basically, Beef is going to be defending WCW in its prime. Now, that is like the beginning NWO phase before they had like 18,000 people in there. Versus me saying that WWF, because it was still WWF at that point.
Get the F out! It was WWE, right?
Shut up, Beef.
Anyways.
Wait, so Beef is not going to be arguing that the Jeff Jarrett version of the NWO was the best? Is that right?
No, he's not. Which
although
that's a losing argument. That's a losing argument. Believe it or not, anyway, so.
It's a higher tier than you might expect. But that's an argument for a different time.
Listen here. Chosen one.
Listen here, Slapnuts. All right. Anyways, but I'm gonna be defending my position on the WWF Attitude Era. And so it's going to go, we each have 3 points to make. We are going to start with opening arguments, or opening statements, I should say. Not necessarily an argument. We'll get into the arguing, I'm sure.
However you want to classify it.
Exactly. But we each have 3 points that we're going to make. Each point will have a rebuttal. So, for example, Beef will have point 1. I will have a rebuttal, and he will have a counterpoint. And then I will get to make my first point, and we'll continue that as... we each have 3 points to make and have closing statements / arguments. And our Sousy Miss Souse Pants timekeeper / moderator is Mr. Alec Ransom. So God help us all.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get your ability to argue is gonna get longer and longer
good luck,
as the beers progress.
Good luck to all of us.
Yeah, two things. One, I expect this to be a very gentlemanly duel. As Put the Bard went a little bit low on me there with the WrestleMania 9, and also I think that my position about defending WCW is way easier than defending WrestleMania 9 as a good pay-per-view.
I think you had an uphill battle with the WrestleMania 9 because I watched that pay-per-view, and I'm fairly certain I got some form of cancer while I was watching it. I don't know which one it was, maybe colon.
Can we start?
That there was
you know what? Can we take those $49.99 donations and move it from the Beef Life Fund to like Save Alec Ransom cancer funds?
Hashtag Save Ransom's colon.
No, you know what? Fuck it. Just
there it is.
Put it in a
Ross
party
tweeting
fund.
It right now. Hashtag Save Ransom's colon.
Put it in a party fund and just say hashtag It's been a good run. Ransom out.
But
all right, so let's thank our let's thank our sponsors before we get too deep here.
Let's do that.
Give me a second. I'm tweeting this as we're speaking. Save.
Well, how about I'll thank
man.
I'll thank the first sponsor, and Beef can thank the second. So the first sponsor we'd like to thank is WrestleDeals.com, your home for violent deals and bloody good prices. Sean Tischler working his magic on the indie circuit there with IWC up around Central PA and all those parts. So shout out to him. Thanks for believing in this podcast even before it had its first episode up and off the ground. So kudos to him.
Well, you're really good at that. You are really good at that. Too bad that you're also one of our sponsors. You can't thank yourself because otherwise
I'm gonna take a shot. I'm gonna take a shot at this.
Here we go.
I can, but I choose not to.
I'm gonna take a shot at this because I don't normally thank the sponsors. It's not that I'm grateful. It's just that I'm not very articulate and or sober.
That's okay.
So we're the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast is gonna thank the Casual Gaming Dad's Corner. It's a Facebook thing. It's also on some other social media thing that I don't do because I'm old and I don't do social medias except for Facebook. I've got 0 follows on Twitter and I'm fairly certain I have like 7 tweets. Suck it. Okay. Once you reach a certain age. You don't really get, that doesn't, do you have any idea how much I have to do in my day? Do you think I have time to get on Twat and InstaFace and Face Snap and Snapbook and Twit Chat? Do you have it? No, I don't have time for that.
Old man app yourself and everything, you know.
Yeah, no, I don't have any time for that. I've got 2 children. I've got a wife. I've got a full-time job. I'm a volunteer firefighter. I don't have any idea how many beers I have to try to drink in a day.
But
he's so busy trying to get those kids off his lawn too.
I don't have time to do all that. But if you have time to do that, which you should, because you're a responsible young person who listens to this podcast, you go check out Casual Gaming Dad's Corner on the Facebooks because he does the video game things and they're very fun. and I enjoy them. And throwback. Can you let me know if you ever do a Friday the 13th on the old NES? Because
absolutely.
Lord, I would watch.
You know what?
I'll watch
Actually,
the hell out of that.
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna I'll quick plug myself. Yes, because we will be doing that. You can also find me on YouTube, Casual Gaming Dad. Same as on Facebook. Casual Gaming Dad's Corner. If you yourself are a streamer or you watch other people's streams and you want to share their videos and other geeky memes and content or wrestling stuff or whatever in the geek zeitgeist there is, just share it to Casual Gaming Dad's Corner. Why not? Just throw it in there. And also on Twitch, Casual Gaming Dad 84. Usually whenever I stream, I'm streaming to Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube all simultaneously. So you can find me on one or the other, I'm sure.
You know what? Let's give our champ some love too. Put the Bar himself has a YouTube channel. He loves to do Let's Play, and I'll tell you what, go back.
Did you say YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube.
Probably.
No, he said YouTube with a CH.
I probably did.
Oh, YouTube channel.
Probably did.
Okay.
I'm always thinking about food. But anyway, his Let's Play of Super Mario World and DuckTales, fucking ace. Because if you like hearing Poot the Bard get upset, you'll love to see Poot the Bard get upset playing old video games. So
there was no other game in my childhood that made me rip the controller out of the NES and then have to scurry to put it back in before I died.
Like Friday
fucking
the 13th.
DuckTales. No, DuckTales. It was the worst.
You know what, dude? Okay, so real quick, you mentioned about Friday the 13th. I'm going to plug that real quick. It is on Facebook. It's the Facebook Retro Gaming League, FB Retro Game League. It's a page that's set up like we're going to have a season of gaming. So much like a season of football or something. There was like this last one we just wrapped up. My boy, Classic and Current Gaming, shout out to him. He put it together, and it's basically set up like each week there's a new game and there's new matchups, and we had divisions or whatever, and we had playoffs, and I made it to the semifinals and got beat out.
Nice.
I got beat out by Inertiatic Gaming on Gauntlet. So shout out to him. He went on to face Jester.
Gauntlet's a good one.
I never played that game before, and holy Christ. But anyways, we're going to be doing Friday the 13th this season because somebody picked it. Now this time around, everybody gets to pick a game. The champion from season 1, which was Jester's Gaming, who is hilarious, by the way. He got to pick 2 games, and he picked Jaws on NES, and he picked and I know that fucker can do it like in 5 minutes. I've watched him do it before. So,
oh my god.
Yeah. And then he also picked Friday the 13th on NES. And I'm like, oh Christ.
Oh boy.
That brings back so many fond memories of my childhood playing Friday the 13th with you on the NES. Switching handing controllers off, trying to 2-player mode it.
Yeah.
Man, that was a fun game.
I'll tell you what, man. I haven't done it yet. But there's a way that you can like speed run that game in like 10 minutes or so.
Holy balls!
However, the other game that you mentioned, DuckTales, I did. That was a game that we had in season 1 for the league, and believe it or not, my time was still not the fastest time overall, and I lost my matchup because I screwed up, and I just figured, it'll still be good enough, and the other person beat me by like another 20 seconds or so. But I ran it in like 11:42.
I've never beaten that game. Never beaten it. I can't beat it. I can't do it.
I never had beaten it whenever I was younger, and then I never played it for like a number of years, and then I just sat there and watched, and I just played the shit out of it for a couple of days and practiced, and then I was like, okay, 13 minutes, I'm good. Okay, 12, okay, 11, okay. I'm like, I was made it down to like 11:26, I think was like my best time or something like that. But
nope. 400 years, and I'd never be able to beat it. I can beat every single Halo game on Legendary.
We're so far off.
I can't beat DuckTales. Listen up.
We are way off the rails.
Shut up, you idiots. Here's the thing. Prepare yourselves. It's time for the Monday Night Wars. So we're going to go ahead. Let me get my timer pulled up on my iPhone that seems to be rapidly losing battery life as of late, which makes me want to just shit blood.
I could do a timer if you'd like me to.
We'll do it. If my phone gets down to critical mode, then I'll scream and holler for help.
Okay.
Okay, so 3 minutes opening statement, argument, however you want to call it. We're going to go ahead and kick this off with Mr. the Legend. Rock on.
Beef to you. Hey, wrestling fans. So I want you to know right off the bat, I am going to heal up on the Attitude. I'm going to heal up on the Attitude Era 100%. I don't hate the Attitude Era. Far from it. I enjoyed it. But I happen to enjoy what came after it a lot more than what came before. So that being said, I think that WCW Nitro, especially in the early days, not the super early days, but the early-ish days, whenever the induction of the NWO first came about, and even a little bit before then, was a lot toastier than WWE at the time, and even whenever you compare them against one another, like their boom periods, and obviously that is my point here. I will be talking about the 3 things that I think made WCW unique, the 3 things that they should have capitalized on more so to win the Monday Night Wars, and the 3 things that I think made that program in its peak superior to any WWE programming, or at least the Attitude Era.
Is that all you got?
That is me being short and succinct.
All right, well, you went a minute 15 deep into that opening statement. I hope it was worth it. Mr. Tigerbomb, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, I'm gonna also be pretty short and sweet. I'm gonna set out to prove that the WWF Attitude Era was superior to WCW in its heyday, even in the beginning with Nitro and the NWO. And don't get me wrong, there were a lot of things I did like about WCW, but there was a lot more that I disliked. The biggest thing is that from the word go, Ted Turner was a hypocritical, just billionaire greedy bastard, and he wanted to keep Vince from monopolizing. He didn't think that it was fair that Vince McMahon would have the monopolization in the wrestling business and stuff, and they had their falling out because Vince had aired his product on Turner stations, and when Vince decided to stay on with USA and not keep going with Turner, then Turner decided to no longer air his stuff. And he said, well, Vince shouldn't have all the monopoly in wrestling, blah, blah, blah. Well, then he set out to do the very thing that he said shouldn't happen. He set out to destroy Vince McMahon and the WWF and create a monopoly for himself. But they failed to do so because they lacked 3 very, very important things that I'm going to touch on, and I'll give them to you right off the bat and go into more detail. 1, lack of creativity. 2, overall production direction. And 3, use of talent. The biggest blunder that WCW had. But I digress. I will prove that despite the ratings as they went back and forth, and yes, that Nitro won, so don't even try to use that argument against me. I'm going to pull the rug out from under you right away. That just because something has higher ratings does not necessarily make it better. And I will prove that because 1, Bachelor and Bachelorette. Need I say more? Yes, I will. 2, NXT being better than the main roster stuff. Less eyes on, but a better product overall. So take your ratings argument and throw that out the window right now, Beef. But go ahead and make your first point. The floor is back to you.
All right, hold on. I got to get figuring. All right. We're reset. Beef, if you want to go ahead and argue your first point, you'll have a 5-minute time limit. Ding, ding, ding.
So in thinking of the first thing to mention, I don't know if I should mention the heavy hitter first or if I should lead into it. So I think I'm going to lead into it and kind of leave the best for last. So the thing that made WCW unique was there were several things, but the thing that jumps to mind is the absolute talent that they had on that show on a weekly basis. We are talking Chris Jericho. We're talking Rey Mysterio. Good Rey Mysterio, not shitty 2019 Rey Mysterio, although he's still better than like 2015 Rey Mysterio, but I digress. Dean Malenko. Fucking Chris Benoit. That's right. I'll say his name as one of the fucking greatest. He's a fucking shitbag human being, but what he did in the fucking ring was fucking immaculate. We're talking Perry Saturn, Raven, They pulled guys from ECW and threw them in almost seamlessly. They pulled guys from WWE and threw them in seamlessly. Yes, there were problems with the talent, 100%. The Asylum, or the Lunatics did run the Asylum, and that was one of the major points, one of the major downfalls of WCW, that if they had more structure, they would have probably won the Monday Night War, because they did have, in my opinion, the better in-ring talent than WWF at the time. But that being said, you had a lot of guys that defected to WWF, like the Radicals, like Chris Jericho, who, fucking Raven, who were established in WCW and they just fucking dropped the ball on. But during their boom period, this talent could not be disputed, because you had, and I'll say this 100%, stupid gimmicks on the Attitude Era. You had a lot of tits, you had a lot of ass, which, hey, was great for, horny teenagers, but unfortunately, whenever you want to see a good wrestling match and all you're seeing is Sable versus whoever the fuck ever in a fucking mud fight, good fucking luck. Or you could see Chris Jericho taking on Rey Mysterio in a 15-minute classic. Or you could see the fucking Cruiserweight division, which I'll go into a little bit later. But, these are all things that WCW was doing and doing well. So their talent was putting on 5-star matches. You go back and you watch them. So one thing that I think WWF does and did better than WCW was pay-per-views. If you go back and you watch the television shows, Nitro versus Raw, Nitro was usually more entertaining. But the pay-per-views, especially the main events, were better on the WWF side. So kudos to them for that. But as far as 5-star matches go, I just watched the Great American Bash earlier this year, and like last month, and I was surprised at how many matches were really good. They were putting on great matches time and time again. WWF did not have that deep of talent pool until they got the WCW defectors. Until they got the Radicals and Chris Jericho by name. Until they got the Rey Mysterio, who came a little bit after the Attitude Era. WCW had the talent, and they let them fucking showcase it. Now, yes, it's because, the main event talent was kind of doing their own thing backstage. But the mid-card talent and low-card talent had the fucking chops.
You through, Beef? You got another minute and change.
I'm good.
All right, Tom, you can have a 2-minute rebuttal. Go ahead.
Well, let me say right off the bat that there are points of WCW that I did like, and they definitely did have a very good mid to low card talent. However, like Beef mentioned, and here's the biggest problem: it doesn't matter how good a talent that you do have. If you don't capitalize on them, then your product overall suffers, which again is why WWF was better than WCW in its heyday, because WWF capitalized and moved in the direction of creating newer, younger talent. WCW kept pushing all the old heads and the NWO, and they buried their mid-card and low-card talent and never let them succeed, with a few exceptions. And so, yeah, you did have those guys defecting over to WWF because they were pissed off and tired of all the bullshit at WCW. He mentioned about horny teenagers, if that's what they want, if that was like their target audience or something. Well, yeah, that was the fucking demographic. 18 to 34 was the demographic. Of course, guys are going to want to see tits and stuff. And don't get me wrong. I understand the women were put in, not so favorable positions back in the day, but it definitely opened the doors for some people, like Sable being in Playboy. Whether you agree with that morally or not, it provided her a huge jump off platform there and lots of opportunity. Whereas WCW, where the hell were their women? You had a Lunger Blaze, aka Medusa, defect over to WCW, throw the WWF Women's title in the trash, and what the hell happened after that? I'll get to that later on with the misuse of talent, believe you me. But do not deny the rest of the roster. You can't act like WWF's mid-card was not amazing, because the European and Intercontinental titles actually meant something back then. They were the stepping stones.
Ha 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 ha!
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. I made my point there.
Beef, you got a 2-minute counterpoint. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I was actually laughing on mute there. Yeah, the mid card was dog shit, man. Fucking D'Lo, draws. Test was probably the best, and he was adequate at best. Their mid card is shit. I'm going to use your argument that you talked about earlier. We're not talking about ratings, and even we're not talking about success because we know who won the Monday Night War. We're talking about the eye test. What was better to watch? If you are a staunch wrestling fan, then you're going to choose Nitro over Raw because, again, Raw is giving you, borderline ECW extreme stuff. They're giving you TNA. They're giving you all the other crap that is out there. But if you're a wrestling purist and you enjoy the art of grappling, you're going to tune into WCW. Oh, by the way, women in WCW, 2 names, Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler. I rest my case on the women. But yes, we're not talking about success in terms of viewership, although that is a part of it. We're talking about the eye test. What was more visually pleasing? And I will argue till my fucking... And this extends into the high card, because I think that even the main event talent, while they couldn't go like the main event talent on Raw could, was still entertaining enough to make the mid-card talent pull that weight.
Okay. I'm 5 beers deep. I'm having a hard time holding my tongue, and I can't remember who's arguing what. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our Tigerbomb Tom's first point.
Yes.
Let
me
do a little spit take there. Okay, Tom, you've got a 5-minute argument. Go ahead and give Beef a good volley there. Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to do my best. I understand that like I had mentioned, and yes, it's true, ratings don't necessarily mean the end-all, be-all, the eye test. I think through the eye test, it was definitely more pleasing seeing Sable powerbomb Mark Marrow than watching Hulk Hogan do a leg drop on somebody else that was dusty and old as well, too. But I digress. The first point that I wanted to make is the lack of creativity that WCW had. They basically had to steal WWF talent to establish themselves. It wasn't until Hogan got there that they actually began to take off and really, embark on heading towards the Monday Night Wars. Like I had mentioned, WWF made new stars. They were younger stars, and they were going for the long run. WCW was only concerned with, let's get ratings. Let's get ratings. That's literally what they were concerned with. They were concerned with trying to put WWF out of business rather than actually trying to do what was best for their talent and actually making this talent sustainable and long-term. They are doing, much like what WWE is doing now, short-term mindset. So that will kill you in the long run. Again, they didn't have their own formula for making new stars. Yeah, they have the WCW power plant, but I mean, come on. Basically, their formula was, look at our WWF talent. Look who we pulled over from them because we have a big pocketbook. Whoop-de-fucking-do. I don't want to see Dusty Old Fart versus Dusty Old Fart. I want to see something youthful and exciting. I want to see something new. And that's what the Attitude Era and WWF gave us. Yes, in the early 90s, before the Monday Night Wars kicked off, I will give you that WWF was pretty hokey, and their people's characters were occupations, and they're very well played out, and it was, something that was too family wholesome. That's why they had to get edgier, and the Attitude Era came about. Also, let me, as far as lack of creativity, how about copycat talent? I'll let it slide a little bit on some of the questionably stolen entrance themes, like DDP's complete ripoff of Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit, Jericho's ripoff of Pearl Jam song. But some of the blatantly ripped off superstars that they had, like Glacier. Hello, Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat, anyone? Renegade, complete Ultimate Warrior ripoff. And last but not least, my least favorite of all, fucking Goldberg. All he was WCW's attempt to counter program Stone Cold Steve Austin, except he was bigger and beefier and he could throw a spear, but he couldn't wrestle his way out of a fucking wet paper bag and for more than 2 minutes. So that's the biggest thing. Yes, eventually some people are going to borrow some ideas from one another to a certain degree, but those were blatantly ripped off. And I think a lack of creativity is one of the big reasons, and the first of many, that WCW was inferior to WWF at that time.
All good there, Tom?
I'm good.
All right, Beef, lay in for a 2-minute.
Salient point about Goldberg. Do not disagree. Can confirm Austin ripoff. That being said, when you say that WCW had a lack of creativity, you, sir, are smoking all of the marijuanas. Because you even fucking said Glacier. Like, yeah, you know what? He's hokey jokey, but you know what? He was fucking... I loved watching Glacier. I loved the Glacier Mortis feud and incorporating Wrath in there. They were colorful characters that you didn't see on the other station because they were going the other way. Also, you want to talk about creativity. They had this big angle. I don't know if you remember it, where they had probably the biggest angle in wrestling, where there was an invading troop. I'll probably talk about that later. But I mean, lack of creativity for real. You had guys like Chris Jericho going out there and delivering home run after home run after home run promo. Need I remind you, Armbar. You had, some of the best tag team action out there, and they found a way to keep it fresh. The Best of 7 series, by the way, that WWF copied on from WCW, started in fucking WCW. Like, you want to talk, and that was pretty much 50-50 booking where that shit began, but it was good 50-50 booking. I'm not going to talk about the fucking shit they were doing with the cruiserweights because that was 100% brand fucking new to the United States for the most part. Creativity was not WCW's problem, and I think that WWF, yes, was maybe a little bit more creative, but not in a good way.
All right, Tom, if you would like to rebut, you've got 2 minutes.
If you want to, I know exactly what you're referring to. If you want to say, oh yeah, wasn't there a huge angle with an invading thing? If you want to get technical with it, the NWO was actually a bit of a ripped off idea from something that had already happened in Japan. So yeah, fuck that and fuck Eric Bischoff for that. And anyways, I'll give you this. The NWO was revolutionary, but it imploded on itself. And the fact that the NWO was the main focal point of WCW and everything else was not. I'm sorry, but you have one of wrestling's biggest factions ever, but they were just fucking everywhere all the time, and they never did anything to help put younger guys over. That's the problem that I have. There was no creative juices there because everybody in there had their own creative control and they just wanted to do whatever was best for them. So there was no outside the box unselfish thinking. It was just me. That was it. So you can't tell me that there was a whole lot of creativity there. I will give you the cruiserweights, the Lucha Libre stuff with Jericho, but Jericho being as creative as he was not a testament to WCW. That is a testament to Jericho because he's always constantly reinvented himself regardless of where he's been. So yeah, WCW had a lack of creativity because they didn't have people that were steadily in control of creative. It was a revolving door clusterfuck. Nobody knew what was going on. And like you had already mentioned, the inmates were running the asylum.
All right, let me go ahead and reset the old stopwatch Rooney there. I just want to go ahead and throw this out there real quick before we move on to our second set of points. So far, great arguments from the both of you. Very salient points. I'm having a hard time disagreeing with both of you on a lot of stuff.
I know.
This is going to be a tough one. So let's go ahead and move on to our second set of points. Is this I can't. Oh, this is Beef, right? Beef's going to go ahead and roll into this one, or is this one Tom?
I think it's Beef. I think it goes back to Beef.
Goes back and forth? Yes, Beef,
sir.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's like I've never done one of these before. Well,
I know, right?
Not that you remember anyway.
The cervezas are talking. Here we go. Beef, if you want to go ahead and move into your second point, you've got 5 minutes to go ahead and argue blast Tom.
Bing. So I could definitely attack the Attitude Era for a lot of things that they don't do, like Tom did with WCW. But I am instead trying to focus on what WCW did as opposed to what WWF didn't do, because I can sit here and make points all night what the Attitude Era did that was fucking bullshit. But what I am going to talk about is something that you brought up in the counterpoint there about, and in your first initial point about young talent not getting pushed. Point number 2 is the cruiserweight division. You want to talk about something special and unique, and yes, pundits out there, I'm sure, will tell me ECW had it first. You're right, but ECW also had a television network that, a television contract that 9 people watched at midnight on Saturday nights. So as much as I love ECW, you have to be successful in order for your ideas to catch fire. That being said, WCW, saw, hey, look what they're doing. Let's bring a bunch of these mask fuckers over and see what they can do. Boy, howdy, did they fucking do. Yes, I will tell you straight up. You want to talk about young talent pushing themselves? Yes, you know what? If you think that I'm going to sit here and say, oh, well, the backstage politics, yeah, you know what? It was a problem. And again, that's why they lost, because they should have done other things. But as far as getting yourself over, you can do so on the mic, you can do so in the ring, or you can do so through the ranks of stories. The cruiserweights were something unique and different than anybody in this country had ever seen before. For the most part, you had, again, tape traders who were very versed in the kind of stuff, but this was something new and unique that WCW was doing, and these guys were pushing themselves. And I think we'll find in the future, if we can look back with some retrospects here, guys like Psychosis and Juventud Guerrera, who came to WWE after the fact, really did not look great because WWF went with them and said, I don't know what to do with you, because they didn't let them get over in the ring. WCW, for as crazy and half-assed and crazy as it was, they were 100% concerned with the main event. And I will, can confirm the main event was awful for the most part. You did have Dusty Old Bones against Dusty Old Bones. And you did have guys who were pulling backstage power. But what that also meant is that these guys could go out there and they were said, hey, go out and have a match. And so they went out and they fucking had a match. New stars? I'm telling you, man, the cruiserweight division made stars all around. You take a guy like La Parka, who has, near as I can figure, no fucking natural ability in his fucking life, and you get him over as the fucking chairman, walking around with a fucking wooden chair playing air guitar on it. You take an idea that's a spin-off of like the LWO, and it fucking hit all the marks, man. Don't even get me started on fucking Eddie Guerrero, the fucking king of the cheapskate cruiserweights. My God. So yeah, you know what? One of the things I think pushed WCW over the hump of WWF at the time, or in general at all, at least in the Attitude Era, was the cruiserweights, because it was something new, unique, fun, fast-paced, technically superior to anything WWF was doing at the time.
Let me get my phone out of my pocket here so I can reset my stopwatch. This is what happens when I don't have the ability to chime in to be insane. I've climbed up the tree in my backyard. So that's where I'm currently operating my stopwatch from. Let's see if we can hear me fall out of it later. Tom, if you want to go ahead and rebut, you've got 2 minutes.
Well, I won't deny that the cruiserweights were awesome to watch. I already stated that previously. The cruiserweights were unique to WCW, and that is one thing that WCW did better than the WWF. Even still, WWF doesn't highlight the cruiserweights, and that's a whole nother thing in itself. But the biggest thing that I can point to, as amazing as the cruiserweights were, and as amazing as Eddie was, I will say it best, quoted by one Mr. Scott Hall. Hey, yo, is everybody here tonight to see WCW? Or is everybody here to see, and the crowd chants, NWO? Those guys never got the proper push they needed. People weren't there to see the cruiserweights. They were there to see Dusty Old Bones, at least for a time, before they got to be 18,000 members deep. So you can sit there and say, "Oh yeah, we have this great talent." You can say that until the cows come home. You have them, but what did you do with them? Nothing that you needed to. Sorry. So I leave it at that.
Beef, if you want to go ahead and counter, you got 2 minutes.
I love when my opponent makes my own points for me. It's like I can just kick back and have a Mai Tai. Yes, sir, Tom, you're right. People did turn in to see the NWO, and they got eyes on the product. But the idea is, with wrestling in general, is you can have one thing that's getting eyes on the product, but you better damn well make sure that you got something that's going to hook them. And we talked about the Raw reunion show, how it got eyes on the product this week, but did zero to hook them. WCW took the hottest angle in wrestling history, period, Fight Me, and got eyes on the product. And then they put out the best quality matches, as I mentioned in my first point, with guys like Benoit, Booker, Malenko, etc., and then put out something amazing that no one has ever seen before, like the Lucha Libre stylings of the cruiserweights. So yes, I agree. People may not have been tuning in to watch the cruiserweights, but whenever you sat down and you turned the TV on the Nitro and you went, "Holy shit, what's that? Oh, Billy Kidman, what is the Shooting Star Press? How did that even happen? What did I just see?" And your mouth is hanging on the floor, and suddenly you're sitting there in your NWO black and white shirt going, "I need to get me a Mysterio shirt, or I need to get me an Ultimo Dragon shirt," and boom, that's how you get eyes on your talent on a weekly basis.
Good point.
All right, gentlemen, it has inevitably happened. I have skinned to my knee trying to get out of this tree, and I am now bleeding. Beef, if you want to go ahead and thank our sponsors real quick in the middle of this thing, I'd appreciate it while I get myself a bandage.
I would love to know why he's in a tree, but that's a story for a different time, I think. Thank you so much to WrestleDeals.com for continually giving us their sponsorship and getting the word of mouth out there for the Pittsburgh's Piledriver podcast that you enjoy on a weekly basis. And we enjoy you enjoying us. So thank you so much for that. And as well, Casual Gaming Dad on Facebook through Casual Gaming Dad's Corner. And just the Facebook page, Casual Gaming Dad as well. We are so appreciative of everything that Tom does, even whenever he's not bringing up the best points about the Monday Night War.
Oh, you just wait. I'm saving the best for last, my friend.
All right. Well, I have retrieved the bandage. I have retrieved my next beer. And refresh my memory here. Is this the last set of arguments that we're going to be making?
No, sir.
No, this is Tom's number 2.
This is my number 2.
Tom's
I'm
number
sure
2.
that it will be. Oh.
Yep. Oh, you think so? But
wow. Jeez, oh man. All right, go ahead, Tom. Lay into him.
Oh, man. Well, you wanted to talk about quality matches and everything like that. I'm going to talk about the overall production direction that WCW compared to WWF. Even in its early heydays, before Monday Night Nitro got off the ground, WCW still felt like that dingy, and no offense to anybody in this part of the world, down south show for the good old boys. Then until Nitro happened. But yeah, there was that. WWF, even in its goofy, cartoony days and stuff like that, it didn't feel like that dingy back of a dive bar room sort of thing. It was brightly lit. It was well produced. It was just overall, it looked better. Even that, it was better managed. WWF was better managed from the word go. As I mentioned before, in the WWF, and it's been said before, and you can attest to this, and you cannot deny it because other wrestlers have come out and said it. WWF was more like an actual family, and they had structure and direction, whereas WCW was a giant revolving door of clusterfuck nonsense. I mean, can we say, Ted Turner just didn't know what he was doing. He wanted to get into the wrestling business, as he put it, whereas Vince said, okay, well, I'm in the entertainment business, so we're in 2 different businesses, buddy. Don't know what to tell you. Another thing, and both companies did this over the years, and they still do, and WWE still does it to this day, use of celebrity involvement. Now, I will give you...
I literally just said, oh no, go ahead.
Go ahead, yeah. That's right. Oh no, indeed. I will give you the Dennis Rodman, Karl Malone one. That was actually semi-decent. But the fact that they had celebrities in like this big main event push, having them in the ring, you can't tell me that was a quote unquote quality match, as you're so alluding to. WCW had so much of. Okay, whenever a celebrity knows how to do a hip toss, a body slam, and a leapfrog, arm drag, that's about it. Yeah. Fight me on that one. WCW dropped the ball significantly whenever they didn't return Mike Tyson's phone call. Guess what WWF did? They utilized the shit out of him, and they had quite arguably the best ever celebrity usage between him and the whole Stone Cold thing. You can't deny that did not put fucking eyes on the screen. And I'm not talking about just in the matter of like ratings or anything like that, the sheer number. I'm just saying, you can't tell me that did not hook you. Even if you were a WCW fan, that was a big fucking deal right there. But to talk about ratings for a second, Ted Turner even admitted that the the blunder that we called Thunder was a total just ratings motivated move. And I'm sorry, but you can't have a secondary show and have not some of your most of your main talent on it because they want to exercise their creative control clauses in their contract and not show up. Yeah, you had guys like Booker T showing up over there, but yeah, you could definitely tell the biggest difference between Monday Night Nitro and Thunder being the crap show that it was. So there is that blunder. One of the biggest. I'm sorry to digress back to celebrity involvements. Jay fucking Leno, that was a travesty. You can try to argue that all you want, but that was an absolute shit show. And speaking of production value and a shit show, how about Halloween Havoc 1998? Going off the air during the main event, which was DDP and Goldberg, because Dusty Old Bones Hogan versus Dusty Old Bones Warrior overran their time limit, and fucking the pay-per-view just shut off. And what did WCW try to do? They tried to give it to the audiences the next night for free, which is a slap in the face to DDP and Goldberg, but that was a huge fucking blunder. Show me a time where that happened in the WWF, excluding Owen Hart dying. Okay? Fight me. Go on.
My goodness. Didn't Jay Leno and DDP beat Hogan and Bischoff?
They did.
All right, Beef, if you want to go ahead and give a counter argument, you got 2 minutes.
Okay, Tom. Okay, Tom. Okay, Tom. So, I took a couple on the chin there, and I knew this was coming. I'm just fucking thanking my stars you didn't bring up RoboCop, because that could have went all kinds of sideways. That was the oh no that I was envisioning.
Well, so, I mean, it's still there.
All right, so let's talk about production values. You're right. WWF has always come across as a big time feel. That's why I enjoy WrestleMania every year, because it's a big time feel, even though I may fucking hate the product, which hate's a strong word. It's always a fucking big time feel. But this was actually almost one of my points for WCW was their the production, because they did something else very unique. They were putting stuff outdoor, like outdoor amphitheaters, which were smaller venues, but were fun. The spring break, whenever they would throw people into the pools, that kind of became old hat after a while, but it was still pretty cool to see and something you didn't find. And yes, you know what, WCW had their blunders production-wise with letting guys call their own shots, and that is very well stated. But they did make up for it by giving free pay-per-view main events on Monday Nitros. The first one I can think of is Hulk Hogan versus Goldberg, which, again, I'm going to harken back to an old point you said about not making over new talent. Hulk Hogan put fucking Goldberg over clean. Hulk fucking Hogan put him over clean. Hulk Hogan barely put Shawn Michaels over clean. You know what? He didn't put Shawn Michaels over clean. I forgot. Hulk fucking Hogan made Goldberg look like a superstar in 5 minutes, and that got his career over more than anything else in the world. I'm no Goldberg fan. I'm barely a Hogan fan, but that was like the fucking momentum shift, and that was on free Nitro. So yeah, you want to talk about eyes on product. You want to talk about the production values. Yeah, okay. They had their blunders, but I think they also had enough things to make them special that can kind of mask some of those blunders.
Oh my. There was just a car crash on Main Street in Mordor, and I'm fairly certain that if I haven't been 6 beers deep, I should probably be going down to that to assist. Anyway, Tom, if you want to go ahead, you got 2 minutes.
Oh, I will gladly counterpoint that. You said that that WCW had some blunders and there was enough to make up for it. Well, obviously we know that wasn't the case, but I digress. Even more in the production values, and I'm really glad it just jogged in my memory. How about the vignettes that WWF had? How about the shit with Mankind when they went in and gave that personalized look back into Mankind's life, and you got to see for probably one of the first times ever to inside like the wrestler's psyche. It made you sympathize with this lunatic Mankind. You can't tell me that WCW did anything close to that. What's the closest thing that they had to lunatics? Kevin Sullivan in the Dungeon of Doom. What a fucking joke. All right.
Oof.
And you want to talk about the outdoor venues and unique things like that. I'll give you some more unique matches that WWF had. How about a Buried Alive match? How about Hell in a Cell, which again harken back to Mick Foley. My fucking God. What an amazing thing it was. And WWF would continue to build on that. Now, yes, like I mentioned before, people do rip off ideas from one another, some way blatantly more so than others, but WWF started getting more hardcore and stuff like that, and WCW really didn't do that. They tried to have a hardcore title in their dying days, but that didn't work out very well for them. So again, WWF had their finger on the pulse as far as production and everything like that, because they had Vince McMahon running the helm, somebody who came from a wrestling promotion family and not just some billionaire who bought this company and handed out positions to his other billionaire or millionaire friends and said, "Hey, we're in the wrestling business now." Sorry, WWF wins that hands down. There's no way you can deny that.
All right. So, correct me if I'm wrong. Are we moving into our last set of points coming into this?
We are, sir.
We are, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Beef. This is your last point. I suggest you make it a good one. Here we go. 5 minutes. Rock on.
Luckily, I have saved the best for last, and I harken back to it. We've talked about it a couple of times. The thing that I will call the hottest angle in wrestling, the biggest heel turn in wrestling, the thing that did draw so many eyes to Nitro, which was the NWO. Did it get ridiculous? It sure did. Was it full of old guys? It sure was. But it was a brand new idea to the United States. Yes, you're right. They did borrow heavily from a Japanese angle. You're not wrong there. But again, in the time frame, we're talking tape traders. We're a very small segment of the population, of the wrestling population, was a smart. So at this point, you had the marks who had never seen this before, who thought this was the coolest thing in the world. Diesel and Razor Ramon, barely a month prior, were on WWF TV with fucking titles. And they show up on Nitro. And they're like, hey, guess what? We're here. You know who sent us. Very, very, very smart for them to thinly veil that they were from WWF. Something that the fans have been clamoring for years. What if we get WWF versus WCW? Sadly, we would get that, but it was a bastardized version, and I still wish I could get in a time machine and make it happen the right way. But that being said, they were so smart to play on their competitors and to say, and to borrow from it and say, hey, look, here are these guys from up north who you're familiar with. And then to take the biggest icon in wrestling history to that point, and I would even argue one of the top 5 biggest icons in wrestling, probably the most mainstream entity, well, probably second to The Rock, but probably the second most mainstream entity at that, well, the first at the time, and take him from a guy who was, take your vitamins, drink your milk and say your prayers, little Hulkamaniacs, and turn him into this villain, to turn him into this guy, it felt so real, and I still love going back and watching Bash at the Beach and seeing that transpire and seeing the garbage come in the ring and seeing Gene Okerlund get flustered and it just like the commentators just kind of gave up. They're like, what does this mean? What's happening? Oh my God. Like there was a sense of dread. You had to tune in every single night to see what is the NWO going to do? How are they going to stick it to WCW this week? They were so successful that they put on an NWO themed pay-per-view, which hung around a couple years after. But the first one, I'd argue, was a pretty large success that did something completely out of the box. You can say what you will about Eric Bischoff, but man, he has a fucking out-of-the-box mind sometimes. And sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a very bad thing. In this scenario, it was something very, very intriguing. I wouldn't call it the best pay-per-view I've ever seen, but it was a decent card and just a great series of vignettes on the show, something very new. So, I mean, and you know what? You could say that DX was as hot as the NWO, and I'll call you a bald-faced liar, because DX had to resort and to go to blue. They had to swear. They had to show their butts. They had to tease nudity. They had to do all the things that say, look at me. Please, please, everybody, look at me. The NWO was way smarter, and yes, they 100% should have invested into more younger talent, as opposed to putting guys like DiBiase, Vincent, Savage, etc. They should have put guys like the Giant, who did become a member, in the NWO. They should have put guys like Booker T, like Eddie Guerrero, like Chris Benoit. All of those guys should have been part of this huge angle to try and start get those guys over. But there's no denying that this was the hottest angle, because in a rural Pennsylvania town, if you walked into a high school in, say, 1998-ish, you'd probably get a smattering of, if you took wrestling shirts, you'd probably see about 60-40 NWO to Austin. So, like, the Kmart special, man, like, everybody was into the, and I saw way more NWO, and you still, to this day, you can take out, and you can look at one WWE crowd, and I bet you're going to see an NWO shirt in it. That's how big it was.
Oh, shit. I got to get my phone.
That's all right. I got it.
All right. Tom, if you want to go ahead and rebut, you got 2.
Well, you mentioned about you go anywhere nowadays and you still see at least one NWO shirt. I think you still end up seeing more DX shirts anyways. If you want to try to say that I'm a bold-faced liar for saying DX was not as hot as the NWO, I call bullshit. NWO felt like a selfish gang of miscreants that were only out for themselves. They didn't give a shit about the rest of the product. And yeah, you had mentioned before about Hogan putting Goldberg over clean. Well, eventually, somewhere your creative control clause runs out a little bit. I mean, I don't think Hogan really had that much of a choice. Maybe not then, as far as putting Goldberg over. But like you said, he put him over in 5 minutes. Okay. Where it just doesn't make sense in that case. Yes, the NWO was hot, and I'll give you it. Yes, it was revolutionary. Like I admitted before, there were some things that WCW did very well, and turning Hogan heel was probably the best thing for his career since he was a champ in the 80s in WWF. However, DX was definitely as entertaining as the NWO. If you go around nowadays, okay, maybe the merchandise, maybe it's close like that. I'd say it's probably more 50-50. But if you go around and catchphrase-wise, do people go for life or do people use suck it more often? They definitely use suck it more often. So suck it, beef. You're wrong on that one. DX was just out there having fun because they were fed up and they were pissed off with the way some things were going to. And unlike the guys in WCW, DX ended up just getting the reins and they went hog wild. And I mean, how about the State of Union address? Whenever USA Network had sent them a letter and said, you're not allowed to say this, this, and this on television, they basically said, okay, we're going to read this letter verbatim. And it was the fucking most amazing thing ever. And need I say the DX Army invading WCW? I mean, come on. You can't tell me that was not revolutionary entertaining too. So I think DX was just as hot as the NWO was in that case. And eventually, maybe more so.
All right, Beef, go ahead. 2 minutes.
The reason you see more DX shirts now is because they're still fucking shilling them. Last week there was a fucking DX reunion. The 70 millionth time fucking they managed to get their old decrepit ass out of the fucking coffins and come out and give one good crotch chop. Oh, by the way, is there something that the NWO did that they're still used? What happens after the referee counts 2 and a kick out? Do we hear 2 sweet? I think we do. And is that popularized by another huge organization, Bullet Club maybe made it famous, and now we're talking about All Elite Wrestling, the guys who were like heading up the Bullet Club using the 2 sweet. Seems like that has a lot of staying power too. So yeah, the 4 life not so much, but yeah, 2 sweet. Oh yeah, you still fucking hear it. It's still a bigger part of the zeitgeist than second ever will be.
I'll give you that.
And there's no, yeah, I know you will because I'm right on that one. But in terms of the I mean, the NWO, yes, it did spiral out of control. You're not wrong about that. And yes, they did have a habit of putting themselves over. But damn, if it didn't make compelling TV, because every week you turned into Nitro, seeing a black limousine pulling up, and you're like, oh shit, the NWO's got a new member. Wonder who it's going to be. We always hoped it was going to be someone from WWF. Sometimes it was. Sometimes it wasn't. But they always kept you hanging on there till the very bitter end to see who would come out in the MWO next. And that's where it did kind of get off the rails because they rode that train way too long and way too hard. They took the best thing that ever happened to wrestling and they absolutely killed it. They beat it with a dead horse. They went way too far with it. But I understand the idea. You have this awesome thing you want to try and capitalize on. So yeah, the NWO, for my money, the best faction, the best and most entertaining segments as far as like getting eyes on sets, and the reason that people tuned in to Nitro every week. One of the reasons.
All right, that'll bring us to 2 minutes. So I believe we've got one more argument to listen to, and I believe that'll be Tom's closing main argument. Before we move into that, I just want to pose a question to the two of you guys. I know this is impromptu, so feel free to shoot it down if you want to. But once everything is closed and done with, do you guys want to do an impromptu hot tag trivia with the 3 of us?
We could. I'm not prepared for them, but I'm sure I could. I don't know. I wasn't
prepared. Could you pull a quick impromptu one out of your ass?
No, but I'll tell you what I can do. The Mid-Card Maniac sent me another question, so I can lay that on you guys if you want.
We can do that.
That's fine. And then we'll do 2 Stump the Chumps. We'll do 1 from the Mid-Card Maniac, and then we'll do 1 from me to the 2 of you.
That works.
Ooh, interesting.
Like that.
Oh, excuse me. Tom, this is your last volley at Lord Beefaroni. If you want to go ahead, you've got 5 minutes.
Here we go. So the biggest thing, like I had mentioned, is use of talent. And that kind of ties in the other 2 points, the lack of creativity and overall production. In WCW, you had the old stars holding the new stars down because of their creative control issues and their inflated egos and everything else that was going wrong. The biggest misuse of talent and also the biggest misuse of celebrities. How about fucking David Arquette winning the goddamn world title? You can't tell me that was good TV. That was a fucking back alley abortion, okay? Right out of a straight up prom night dumpster baby. That's what that was. And, I mean, it seemed like a good idea at the time was the excuse that they used. They were more concerned with what can we do that's going to put eyes on and get us higher ratings. They were looking for ratings rather than long term. That was WCW's biggest downfall. You want to talk about another misuse and egregious misuse of talent? Okay, you had some women stars. Where the hell were they, though? The only women that you regularly saw in WCW were the Nitro Girls. And I'm sorry, but that don't cut it, okay? Again, like I mentioned before, you had women in the WWF. Yes, they were doing, schlocky lingerie matches and mud wrestling and this and that. But they were actually having some sort of semblance of a match rather than just glorified cheerleaders. That's what they were. You might have had Medusa there whenever she came over, and you could have done something productive and tried to build a good women's division. Let me pose a little something to you. The WCW women's title, do you know how long it lasted? Barely a year. And they had to pull in women from GAEA over in Japan. And they also had a women's cruiserweight title that, that barely lasted a year or two. Oh, yeah. Oh, damn. We dropped the ball on that one. Huh. But something you would harken back to, WCW's mid-card, guys like Jericho, Eddie, Benoit, Mysterio, even Booker T, okay? Yeah, they were good. But again, lack of opportunity. And where did they go? WWF. And what happened? Look at Y2J. Look at everything. Look at the way that WWE knew what to do with WCW's wasted talent. I mean, they honestly, WCW's mid card became WWE's superstars of the future. And the biggest thing, WWF organically making new stars. Look at Stone Cold. The whole King of the Ring promo, my God, one of the biggest fucking promos that ever happened. The whole Austin 316 era. Look at Triple H turning into, from Hunter Hearst Helmsley to, Triple H. Whenever he gave that shoot promo to JR about his friends leaving the business, and he's like, "You want to talk about being students of the game? I am the fucking game." And that set him off onto a new course, strapped a rocket right on him. Look at The Rock, the way he was able to get over. I mean, you had all that going on. Even guys like Goldust. I mean, yeah, he wasn't a main event star, but he was a solid mid-carder and an Intercontinental champion. I mean, he was doing some never before seen stuff out there. And that it was compelling. It was interesting to watch. You had, the stuff between Undertaker, Kane, I mean, oh my God, Mankind, like I had mentioned before. That's the thing. WWF gave their stars opportunity. And whenever they were given that opportunity, 9 times out of 10, they thrived and hit it out of the park. I mean, you can't tell me that didn't make for compelling television right there and had to be stuff that you wanted to see on a weekly basis. You can't tell me you didn't want to see Stone Cold whoop up on Mr. McMahon week after week. So, again, the use of talent, is a big downfall for WCW and a big check in the box for WWF.
All right, Beef, if you want to go ahead and rebut, you've got your final rebuttal. Go ahead.
And just to be clear, I'm going to do rebuttal, and then Tom's going to do a counterpoint / closing, and then I'm going to do my own closing after that. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Well, I thought we were doing you do rebuttal, I do counterpoint, then we do closing statements.
That's correct.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's cool. All right, so I mean, misuse of talent was a problem. You are not wrong. Making of new stars was a problem. You are not wrong. And again, we know that WCW failed. That is, in the fucking history books, and the history books are written by winners. Whenever you're talking about the women, though, WWF put out a farce. The only good talent to come out of the Attitude Era, as far as the women's goes, was fucking Trish Stratus. Lita, nothing. I like Lita. I think she's a great talent, but she ain't nowhere near Trish. Other than that, the fucking ridiculous stuff. And WWF, the women's division was a farce. WCW said, hey, you know what? We ain't even going to play with your emotions. We ain't even going to pretend like we're trying to, do this. You guys want to see some TNA? You guys want to see some TNA on the other product? Here's some TNA with some cheerleaders. Here's some TNA with Stacy Keibler dancing on a desk. Here's some TNA with Tori Wilson coming out. Like, they didn't pretend, and they were not pretentious. They said, here's what it is. We're just not gonna, assume that you're dumb and try to pull the wool over your eyes. We're just gonna give you, hard cuts. But yeah, I mean, misuse of talents was a problem. You're not wrong there, but I would argue that there were some pretty big talents that were misused in WWF. Guys like Test, who should have been a main eventer. Guys like D'Lo Brown, who had a lot of chops. Fucking Terry Funk, like one of the biggest legends of the business, was turned into a cartoon character wearing a pantyhose on his head with a fake ass chainsaw. Like, yeah, WCW made some problems with some talent, and yeah, their booking was the biggest issue. But I mean, WWF made some pretty big gaffes as well. Let's not forget the mean street.
Unfortunately,
coffee.
You have reached your time limit. Tom, if you want to go ahead and give your last counter argument to Beef, go ahead.
Well, you said right there, Terry Funk, misusing him. He helped put over the New Age Outlaws. Him and Mick Foley both. I mean, come on. And the New Age Outlaws became arguably one of the most iconic tag teams ever in the WWF. You want to talk? Thank you. You want to talk about yeah, we're not going to try to pull the wool over your eyes. So what? We're just not going to try at all. I mean, come on. Having the glorified cheerleaders, that was one thing. But WWF, even though they questionably used, and I'm being very lenient with that, they used their women in questionable roles. They still got them involved in the ring, though. Look at Sable powerbombing Mark Marrow and standing up for herself and getting away from the quote-unquote abusive relationship. How many women in real life could relate to that? And maybe that helped some people out. Look at Chyna. Became a women's, a woman that won the Intercontinental title. The use of Chyna in DX and throughout, WWE later on in scenarios with like Eddie Guerrero and Mark Henry and everything like that. WWF definitely, while they may not have used the women in the best roles from the beginning, they got there. It took a little time, but they got there. WCW just didn't even bother trying. You know why? Goes back to, again, they were too busy worrying about the goddamn NWO and nobody else. And that's why the Big Show jumped ship. That's why Jericho jumped ship. That's why all the good workers, who I won't deny were there, that you had mentioned earlier, jumped ship and said, we're going to the land of opportunity. We're going to the WWF. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great point and counterpoint. And I would be remiss, ladies and gentlemen, if I didn't bring this up before we had our closing argument. We'll give Beef and Tom another minute or two to think up any closing statements that they would like to make. Me, personally, as I have become known, the advocate, I, ladies and gentlemen, would like to introduce you to our, and I say our, Beef, you can argue all you want to, but he is our reigning, defending, undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world, the legendary Poot the Bard has graced us with his presence.
Baby, I am here. Yes. No, how's it going? I'm really looking forward to listening to what happens whenever the inmates run the asylum.
Oh, speaking back to the Monday Night War, I would love to get probably the four of us will probably get I guess three, because Poot is the fourth one. But the three of us will probably get Poot's take on who he feels is the winner of this. I'm sure in our little group chat, or maybe he will wait. Maybe he'll wait and grace us with his opinion on our next official episode of the P3 podcast. And I would love to hear Poot chime in and let us know who he feels made the best argument tonight.
Not just Poot. We want to hear from you guys, too. You guys that are hearing this right now.
Well, way to step on my toes.
You're welcome. Let us know on Twitter.
Beef
let
the
us
bluster.
Know on Facebook.
Listen.
Let us know on Twitter. Let us know on Facebook. Get at us. Let us know who made the better argument tonight.
Listen, number one, nobody steps on my advocate's toes. Not even me.
I love my champion.
Second of all, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do a fast count news with telling you, after I listen to this, who I thought was right. And then on the next episode, I'll expound on that. But until then, I will take my leave, let you guys finish. I'll be here monitoring, listening, always watching, listening. Your champion. But you guys go ahead and finish what you have to say. I will put myself on mute and sit back and listen to the shit show.
Poot, before we hear closing arguments from Beef and Tom,
sure.
We do have a Stump the Chumps from the Mid-Card Maniac.
Ooh.
I have a Stump the Chumps for Tom and Beef, and if you want to jump into this, you can answer that question as well. If you would like to think up a Stump the Chumps for the three of us, while Beef and Tom deliver their closing arguments, that's, you're the champion. Feel free if you would like to. Awesome. If not, awesome as well. But as Beef stated, yeah, we do want to get some feedback on this. We're going to leave it open-ended.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, we'll leave it open-ended at the end of this. We would love to hear from, and this is
uncharacteristic.
This is uncharacteristic of Alec Ransom, but we would love to hear from anybody who listens to the Collar and Elbow Tie-Up. Shoot us an email, shoot us a comment, shoot us a tweet. Let us know who you feel made the better argument. Let us know, in your opinion, who you think the better product was during the Monday Night War, regardless of outcome. We all know what that was. WWE is still around. WCW is not. But we want to hear from anybody who listens to the Collar and Elbow Tie-Up. Let us know what you think as far as who had the better argument, who had the better product during the time. We're going to go ahead and give Beef 3 minutes. If you want to go ahead and deliver us your closing arguments, the floor is yours, Malik.
Actually, I'm going to defer to Tom. Tom, I'd like to hear your closing argument first. Since I opened this up, I'll let you give the first closing argument.
All right, Tom, go ahead.
Well, honestly, I mean, I don't think much else needs to be said. I mean, I feel that I brought up 3 very good points: lack of creativity, misuse of talent or use of talent, and the overall production value and direction. Compared between the two, I feel WWF, definitely got the better of the two. Now, obviously, that's not saying overall result wise, because again, we know that how that turned out. But just in general, and like I had mentioned before, you could argue and say that WCW had traded back and forth in the ratings with them, and they beat them for 2 years straight. Well, again, like I said, overall the ratings numbers doesn't necessarily mean it's definitely the better product. I mean, you can see McDonald's has over how many billion served. Does that still make it good food? No, it's fucking hot garbage. I'm sorry. and that's exactly what WCW
How dare you?
And that's exactly what WCW was. So that's all I've got for my closing argument. I will say, though, however, in regards to this Collar Elbow Tie-Up episode, also, we want to hear input back from those of you that listen to this. Let us know if you have a topic that you want discussed for a future episode of Collar Elbow Tie-Up. Because honestly, it's we go through a lot of stuff as it is on a weekly basis. So to kind of find these points that are really, really up in the air for debate, it's kind of hard to do sometimes, because we do see pretty eye to eye on a lot of things in general. On our weekly show. So, I mean, this is only the second episode of Collar Elbow Tie-Up in what we now have episode 13 out, which is just got put up today. So go listen to that if you haven't already. But Beef, if you want to go ahead and make your closing argument, go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
I would love to. So I know how, used to be an English teacher, I understand how closings work. I recapped my 3 best points, which were the quality of the wrestlers, the cruiserweight division, and the hottest angle in wrestling. But I've already said my piece about those. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to talk about how I won, because my opponent spent the entire time poking holes in WCW. I spent my time building up WCW's product and talking about why it was superior. Tom didn't really talk about why WWF was superior, what made them unique, what made them fun. Yeah, sure, he made some points here and there, but he could have talked about he could have spent his time talking about, you know, the rise of Austin 316, about the rise of The Rock, who I think was just mentioned one time. The crux of it is that he spent more time beleaguering the fact of what was wrong with WCW, which again we can all admit that WCW made some problems, as opposed to talking about what was right with WWF, because while WWF had a breadth of talent, a wide talent pool with some of the best and most talked about wrestlers of all time, Steve Austin, HBK, Triple H, The Rock, Mick Foley, The Undertaker, ad nauseum, you can't point to a quality match. There are not many, very few and far between, can you point to a 5-star match and say, that was great. Were you entertained by some of it? Yeah. Did you watch Monday Night Raw? Did you watch Monday Night Raw to see Austin stun McMahon? You sure as did. You sure as hell did. And when he finally got his hand on him, man, that was a sweet, sweet moment. But when we're talking about being a wrestling fan, and we're talking about looking at it with a critical eye, and we're talking about what was the best on-screen product, WWF had to go blue. They had to give some nudity. They had to pretend like they were going to be kind of softcore. They had to pretend like they were going to be ECW. They had to give you so much in so little time that the Attitude Era didn't work. Yes, it was hot. Yes, people love it and remember it and look at it through a rose-colored glass as the best wrestling on the planet. But if you go back and you watch some of those main events, put the fucking clothespin on your nose, boy, because you're gonna get some stinkers. Whereas you go back and watch some WCW pay-per-views, yeah, some of those NWO matches were pretty awful, but you got things like Chris Benoit and Booker T, Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho, Psychosis and Rey Mysterio, etc. So, yes, I do believe that WCW in their apex was better than the Attitude Era.
All right. Look, well done, boys. I think this was a great second episode of the Collar Nibble tie-up. Me personally, I enjoy the moderation just because I like to sit back and listen to everybody argue their points. It's entertaining for me. I very much enjoy it. I do. I love to hear everybody's argument. I love the first one. The amount of alcohol and alcohol by volume aside,
the
hook in
beers
in the first one. The beers. Well done, champ.
There you go.
Yeah, I do. I enjoy the Collar Nibble type, and I want to say this. I'm going to harken back to what Tom said. Please. Alec Ransom doesn't often beg. Alec Ransom doesn't often shout out to the fans. That's my character. Shut up. Please, if anybody does listen to the Collar Nibble tie-up, other than the four of us, if there's a fifth or sixth, maybe a seventh person, I'm being generous on those numbers. If you listen to the Collar Nibble tie-up, if you enjoy it at all, as much as we do, please let us know if there's a topic that you would like to hear about. I would like to see us do a few more Collar Nibble tie-ups. They're interesting. They're entertaining, at least to me. Don't give a shit what the other people here think.
There's the Ransom we know.
That's what I do. That's my character. Get over it. So yeah, I just want to let that out. And another shout out here to the Midcard Maniac. This is the second time the Midcard Maniac. Second? Third? How many times has he sent stuff in?
I think.
Is this the third?
Second. I'll check my email real quick.
The old second, third.
So anyway,
it is the
three.
Third. Yes.
That's the third time the Midcard Maniac has sent in a Stump the Chumps.
Thank you, Midcard Maniac.
Yes, we want to thank him for being a interactive fan. We've got some stuff in the works. Yeah, he does. Come on, Texas A&M, where the hell are you?
The Texas
stuff in the works as far as merch goes. Right now, we're coming up with an idea of a T-shirt for just the four of us to wear around on our fat asses, excluding Tom.
Thank you.
But I want to say this:
eat a cheeseburger, you fuck.
Hey, yeah, I do.
Captain fucking washboard abs over there.
Yeah, oh God, please no.
Can you please scarf down a giant plate of spaghetti for once?
I did. I was actually scarfing it down whenever we were getting set up.
Do another one. Don't be a bitch.
You're not scarfing enough. Yeah, right?
I don't. And for the record.
We're taking him to the Golden Corral. We're taking him to the Golden Corral before NXT.
Oh, that's fine. And for the record, I definitely don't have washboard abs anymore. I've definitely got the dad pooch going on.
You know what?
Would you like me to send photographic proof? I mean, I never thought I'd be sending a picture of my midsection to like 3 other dudes in a group chat. But if that's what it comes down to,
normally that's reserved for Grindr. Wait, that's the same thing. Anyway,
here's the
Tom.
Anything that gets Tom's shirt off, the better. But I want to say this. For the mid-card maniac, once we kind of get things hammered down, we're probably not going to sell stuff, at least at first, because we've got 4 people that listen to this show, aside from the 4 of us. But once we get shit narrowed down, I would like to make an executive decision here that, if the mid-card maniac wants, I'd like to give him a T-shirt because he's been the only interactive fan we've had so far. Hopefully, we'll get a few more in the future. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I don't care. Where's the $49.99, jackasses?
Yeah.
How much for a T-shirt? $49.99 plus shipping and handling. No COD.
If you subscribed to the $49.99 a year package, you get your T-shirt for free. But as of yet, I've yet to see anything roll in through the mail. As far as $49.99 and roll into the mid-card maniacs Stump the Chump. I want to hear this one.
Really quick. Eventually. Oh, there we go. Nice. Oh, I was worried I wasn't going to have this night and have a ransom burp. No, eventually it's going to be P4. Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast Patreon one day.
Holy shit.
Oh, no. Anyway, so what's the question?
So, he talks a little bit about his
before you ask this question, do you already know the answer, or
I do, because Google, because it's nothing that he's doing. Mid-card maniac, you're doing the right thing. You're putting lots of spaces in there, but Google likes to go ahead and show me the first text that's on there. So even with 87 million enter, so
I have a suggestion for that. So being that his answer is like the first actual word in the answer email, he should put like, here is the answer to the Stump the Chump's question, and then a couple spaces, and then
a million spaces. Yeah, there you go, mid-card maniac. You
don't even necessarily need 87 million spaces. Just like 5. That should probably work,
right.
because then all beef will see is here is the answer.
This is not criticism. This is not criticism. We're not telling you how to do it. We're making a suggestion. I will not criticize.
Oh yeah,
no, definitely interactive fan. I will say that.
No,
Alec
definitely
loves
not.
to berate people. Alec Ransom loves to
and
berate
to be
people.
Fair,
but I will not berate the mid-card maniac.
To be fair, we've had plenty of interaction on our live broadcast. We'd like to see some of that interaction rolled over to our weekly podcast. So yeah, get at us on Twitter, email pittsburghpiledriverpodcast@gmail.com. So the question, Mr. Maniac, harkens back to his last question about the steel cage match. So this question is about one of the worst matches ever, or one of the worst gimmick matches, the evening gown match, which is actually very apropos for this episode. In 1999, for the women's title, which the loser was awarded the championship. Who was it, and who did she beat?
Wait, say that again?
Yeah, say that again.
Yeah, that confused the shit out of me.
In 1999, there was an evening gown match for the women's title in which the loser was awarded the championship. Who was the loser? So who ended up walking out with the belt that night? And who did she, quote-unquote, beat?
Oh, dear Lord.
Wait, okay, so the loser of the match. So the loser of the match was the
loser was given the title. So even though they lost, they became the champion. Who was the defending champion that technically won the match but lost the belt?
Is this the first ever first ever evening gown match?
I do not believe so.
Wait. I think I know this. I think I know this. I'll let everyone else go. I think I know this.
So this wasn't the first one. It was what year?
1999.
Okay, so I was thinking Luna and Sable, but I just
dropped the backdoor Tigerbomb there. Instead of a ransom burp, it was a Tigerbomb tushy bomb.
Oh boy.
The tiger tush.
The tiger toot.
Tiger.
Yeah, I think Sable uppercut was Sable and Luna, I think, were the first evening gown. Mother held be the beers. 99.
I think that was probably actually Sherry Luna. I think you mean to say Sherry instead of Sable, but yes, I believe you're right about that. At least on WWF TV.
Ugh.
Shit. So the winner was not declared, or was not awarded the title. Was there somebody else involved in this match of prominence?
Well, there is somebody who made an executive decision on it. Because obviously, if you win the match, you should win the title.
Now I know I'm right.
But somebody made a call on this to award the loser the title.
Well, the loser probably had to be like
99
hotter than the other one, I guess.
May I?
Shawn Michaels did something in this match.
Yes, he did.
He was the commissioner, wasn't he?
That is a part of this question. Yeah, that's part of the answer. Yes, it was Commissioner Michaels.
All right. It was Sable Deborah. Shawn Michaels declared Deborah the winner because she lost her dress first.
Yep. That's it. Yeah, it was. Yes. It was Sable Deborah. Shawn Michaels was involved in it. That's right.
And I think it was it at an In Your House?
He did not say.
I have no idea what event it was in, but I as soon as you said that, Poot, that was it. I'm gonna go with Poot on that one.
Midcard Maniac, you did not successfully stump the jumps. Poot the Bard coming in hot.
Oh, thanks, hey, speaking of the beers.
Ooh, that was a good sip. That was a good sip.
Oh yes. Midcard Maniac, I applaud you because that was a good one. But I remember that because I was like, oh, Shawn Michaels, you rube.
You ruffian.
You scamp. Get out of here.
Scoundrel, you.
Take your boner and get out of here.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
Not as embarrassing as the half boner during the live sex
celebration.
Let's not talk about that.
Oh,
all right, so episode. You want to be?
Did you have a Stump the Chumps?
I do have a Stump the Chumps, and it's fairly simple.
Wait, am I involved in this, or is this strictly for Beef and Tom?
No, you can be as well, unless you know the answer. Let me.
Unless you know, you can. If you know it, don't answer.
No, give me a second. I just want to double check that I want to double check something because I looked it up while I was having the beers.
Yes.
Let
me take a look. There was. Okay.
Yes,
this one's a little bit of a softball, but it might have escaped you. Okay. So there was, in my opinion, a really big turning point that kind of brought in the turn for WCW becoming a powerhouse, okay? It was whenever a certain gentleman arrived on the show and nobody knew why he was here.
Oh.
And you know who I am.
Right.
That would be Scott Hall showing up on an episode of Nitro. I want the year and the holiday he showed up on.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Good God.
Okay, so the year would have to be... I'll tell you this. I know the year has to be 95 because I remember that in 94, I think he was still in WWF and involved in his feud or whatever with possibly like Goldust and stuff. That was still going on. Actually, I know it had to be 95 because if I remember correctly, Goldust had made his debut sometime in 94. I think that was a question that we had before. And eventually he didn't make his debut against Razor Ramon. But he eventually had that feud. Scott Hall had to have left in 95. I'm trying to think of the holiday because it was 96 Bash at the Beach where Hogan had turned. So,
I think it was actually 96.
Wait. I believe I was gonna say did Hall show up in the beginning of 96?
So I think it was Memorial Day because the Hall and Nash were around for a bit of time, but not for a hell of a long time. And so if it's a holiday, the only holiday that I can think of that would come between anything and Bash to the Beach would be Memorial Day. So I think that Scott Hall showed up on Memorial Day in 1996.
Well, when was what month was Bash to the Beach in? Because
probably June.
I'm trying to think. I wish I had a calendar to go back and see when St. Patrick's Day was, because that could have been. You know what? I think.
but that's.
Yeah, but
that's
you know what?
3 months of just them showing up, and I don't remember those two just coming out for 3 months.
Yeah, you know what?
It was probably closer to 5 weeks, so I think it is Memorial Day.
You know what? I'm gonna go with beef on this one. I feel like it's Memorial Day, and that makes sense because it is a Monday. So let's go 96 Memorial Day.
My young ward, the advocate, Alec Ransom. Do you have a dog in this fight?
I don't. I have no earthly idea.
He has no pooches.
I want to say it was 96. That sounds right. But as far as what holiday it was, I have no earthly idea.
Well, there's a reason that we call him the legend. Beef the Legend was correct. Memorial Day 1996. Tom, you agreed with him. And
Yeah.
Ransom, you know what?
I'll take half a beef coin for that.
Your champ could not stump the chumps.
Wow.
I thought it was
nice.
I thought it was just simple enough that it wouldn't that it was like it was just simple enough that it's like, oh, it can't be that easy, and I'll overthink it and give you a wrong answer. But that was a very keynote thing. I wasn't here for the episode. I'm very excited to hear it. And I'm sure
very topical. Both of these questions so far have been very topical. So yeah,
They really have.
don't worry, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, Ransom still has one for me and Beef. I guess Poot also as well if he wants to jump in, right? Correct.
Yeah. If the champ can chime in if he wants to, or the champ can defer. That is the champ's prerogative. This is also on topic with tonight's discussion. I want to know, between WCW, this does not count anything in Japan, between WCW and the WWE, how many total members were there of the NWO? Just looking for a number.
Okay. Let's
right,
figure this out.
Yeah, so let's run through them.
Let's
do the easy ones. Okay, wait.
Beef, let me ask you this question. Does this include, like, NWO Wolfpack and such?
This includes
every
NWO, NWO Wolfpack, NWO Black and White, NWO Elite, NWO 2000, NWO WWE. This includes wrestlers, valets, everybody. I want to know the total.
No New Japan.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea that there was an NWO 2000 and NWO Elite, because you know what? I stopped fucking watching WCW by then.
So let me make a clarification. There was an Japanese wrestler, was it Tanaka, who was a member of the NWO. Are you saying that we're not counting him?
If he was a member of the NWO in WCW or WWE,
yes.
I'm counting him.
Okay. All right. Then yes, he was. All right. So let's do the easy ones. Hogan, Hall, Nash.
That's 3.
Vincent, DiBiase.
That's 5.
Savage. I'm
6.
I'm tallying.
Yeah.
You're not gonna name them all.
Elizabeth.
The Giant.
Yeah, the Giant. Stevie Ray.
Scott Steiner.
Horace Hogan.
Buff Bagwell.
Buff Bagwell. Yep.
Scott Norton.
Yep.
6.
Michael Wall Street.
Yeah.
I don't think we have the
Mr.
time for you to name them all.
No, just wait.
No,
we're getting there. We're up to 15.
We're good. We are.
Shawn Michaels.
Hold on. I'm trying to go progressively here.
Oh God, Beef!
so-
Stop flexing.
The original NWO. I'm thinking we pretty much hit them all. We're hitting a lot of the black and white guys.
Kurt Hennig.
Wolfpack.
Randy
Kurt
Savage.
Hennig.
thank you.
Kurt Hennig.
Yep, we got Savage.
Bubba
Sting.
Rogers.
Well, Sting was in the.
Wait, Bubba Rogers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Big Boss Man.
Okay, Bubba Rogers. Then the Wolfpack, which was Savage, who we already got. Conan.
Yep.
Luger. Sting.
Yep.
Oh, wasn't Rick Rude in there?
Rude was in the NWO. You're right.
Oh, and we forgot Bischoff.
Bischoff, yes sir.
So that's 22
Oh,
now.
Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray after
we
Booker
already
T
got
left.
Stevie Ray.
I called him.
Oh.
And then.
Louis Piccoli.
Who?
Oh,
Good
fuck.
Lord.
That's a
Way to
good
go,
one, man.
champ.
Okay,
Way
there
to
we
go,
go.
champ.
I
What
started.
was it
Now,
gonna-
see, here's the thing. I'm not a WCW guy. I'm not a WCW guy, but I will say this. I started watching WCW in the really shitty time, so I remember all these little oddball things.
Yeah.
Dennis Rodman, speaking of shitty, Dennis Rodman.
That's 24.
And then moving on to the NWO 2000 was Jarrett.
Oh, Jesus.
Nash, who was already in there. The Harris brothers, Ron and Don.
Was Bret Hart in it?
Bret Hart was officially a member of the NWO 2000, as was Scott
Did we
Steiner.
say Scott Norton?
We did.
We did.
Okay.
Trying to think if 2000 had anybody else. It was mostly just Jarrett and the Harrises, with Hart and Scott Steiner, and I think Nash is sprinkled in.
Bret Hart, that's right. Dusty Rhodes. Did we say Dusty Rhodes?
Dusty Rhodes is in the NWO?
Yeah, for a spell.
Are you sure?
I am 100% sure.
Okay.
Because it was a big deal. Because it was like really, that was kind of like, I think, the impetus of it getting really ridiculous. You're like, really? Dusty, you're not a heel. Get off it.
Yeah.
And then let's move on to WWE NWO, which was Shawn Michaels, Booker, Nash. I think X-Pac was in there, which we already counted.
Scott Hall.
Yeah.
Scott Hall.
The Giant.
Scott Hall.
Yeah, Hogan. Yeah, Hogan Hall.
Hogan Hall.
I'm
Nash.
thinking of the second NWO. Yeah. Which is the Giant. We already got him as Big Show, or Big Show. Nash.
Whatever. Yeah.
6. Booker T. Goldust was not a member, but he was like Booker T's friend. And then
didn't he start painting himself black and white?
He might have, to try and be like part of them, but he was never an official member. And then Michaels.
How many is that?
Gentlemen, that brings us to 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 31. Tanaka. We fucking mentioned him.
What about Masahiro Chono?
That's who I was thinking of. Chono.
Masahiro Chono.
Chono. Was Sonny Ono with Chono?
Don't know.
I don't know. Nick.
Don't know
Nick
about
Patrick.
Chono.
Nick
Patrick. Yeah, we forgot about him.
Oh, the ref.
Yep, 34.
I'm
trying to think of the sold out pay-per-view.
No. I think we're up to 33, Tom. I'm not going to say that Ono was in there. I don't.
No, because we didn't, because we had 31 and then we counted who did you say? Chono and then Tanaka or whatever.
No. Tanaka was not. I was thinking of Chono, not Tanaka.
Okay, so then
it was only
We said 33. Sting, right?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, just making sure.
So 33 with Nick Patrick being the last one that we got there. So.
Why do I feel like I'm missing somebody in the Wolfpack? Savage, Conan, Nash.
Savage, Conan, Sting, Nash, Sting,
Luger, and I think that was it. Yeah.
What about Kurt Hennig?
We got him.
Yeah, we got him.
I'm not Your sure time's about up.
I'm not
How?
Sure
okay, let's just say 36.
No. I don't think we've missed anybody. We may have, because there may have been a fucking stray valet in there, or manager.
Was Missy Hyatt in there?
No. That was after her time.
Missy Noheimum.
Boo.
All right, I'm gonna call time limit. Give me your final guesstimations.
Do you want to say 35?
I'd say 36 just to be safe.
I'll just go with 34. Why not? We got 34, 35, and 36. So
yes,
you all underestimated.
Really?
Oh my!
So I did not include Dennis Rodman and Nick Patrick in my original tally, but including those two, you have a total membership between WCW and WWE of 44.
Wow.
Who did we miss?
According to the Wikipedia page that I looked up. That may or may not be accurate, but according to that one,
I don't know, man. Wikipedia is pretty accurate with wrestling stuff.
Yeah, wait, who the hell did we miss, though?
Can you give us a fast list?
Oh, dear Lord.
Wait. How about you send the link from the Wikipedia page? Well, no, never mind. I was going to say send it over Messenger, and I'll open it up and look at it since you're drunk, so.
Hang on.
Hang on, watch this.
Hang on, watch this.
Oh, wait, that's copyrighted.
Oh, dear Lord. Oh, my gosh. Okay.
How many of the beers did you have, Advocate?
Oh, Lord. This was, I think I'm 6 deep.
And he's still more put together than he was the WrestleMania one. I'll be damned.
That one was a travesty because I didn't realize the alcohol by volume of the beers.
Yep, 90 minute will do that to you.
Oh, my Lord. That was the worst day ever. I vomited that night, by the way. Totally vomited that night. Here we go. So, remember, I didn't take into account Nick Patrick or Dennis Rodman. So here we go. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, Ted DiBiase, Giant/Big Show, NWO Sting, which was the fake Sting. Six/X-Pac, Vincent, Miss Elizabeth, Eric Bischoff, Buff Bagwell, Mike Wall Street, Bubba Rogers, Scott Norton, Randy Savage, The Disciple, Conan, Kurt Hennig, Rick Rude, Louis Scapoli, 15 beef coins to the champ for calling that one out. Woo-hoo! Dusty Rhodes, Brian Adams, Scott Steiner, Stevie Ray, Horace Hogan, Lex Luger, The Real Sting, Disco Inferno, if you can believe it or not.
That's right.
Wolfpack.
David Flair, Tori Wilson, Bret Hart, Jeff Jarrett, Ron Harris, Don Harris, Majinka, I can't remember that name, Tyree Buck, April Hunter, Pamela Plushinok, Shakira, Ric Flair, Booker T, Shawn Michaels.
Wow.
Ric
you know
Flair
what? We did.
In the WWE was a brief member when he turned heel before he left the NWO and appointed Booker T into the NWO in the WWE.
You know, I think we did really well.
I think we did pretty damn good.
That was considerably impressive as far as membership goes, listing off that list of names.
Hell yeah, it was.
So look, we're going to go ahead and conclude this episode of the Colin Elbow Tie-Up. I'm going to harken back to it again.
It went way longer than what we thought.
Forgive the beers, but this might be the beers talking. Here we go again. Steady on, strap in, bitches. I want to thank Tigerbomb Tom and Beef the Legend for arousing us with another great episode of Colin Elbow Tie-Up. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the reigning, defending, undisputed Cruiserweight champion of the world, Pete the Bar, baby! Because even if he wasn't involved in the Colin Elbow Tie-Up for this episode, he's the champ, so give him your thanks. That's what you need to do. That's what he deserves.
You're damn right.
I want to thank the mid-card maniac for another great Stump the Chump. Stump the Chumps, plural. That's more than one of us. Had to spit. Good Lord. If anybody has, an idea or what they want to see on a future episode of the Colin Elbow Tie-Up, please, please, please let us know. We would love to do more of these, and we would love to do more, especially if the listening audience has an idea of what they want to hear. I don't know. I can't think of anything else. Beef or Tom, do you guys want to thank the sponsors one last time?
Go ahead, Tom. I do it all the time.
Okay. Well, first of all, let's thank WrestleDeals.com, your home for violent deals at bloody good prices. Sean Tischler doing all of his amazing work on the indie scene with IWC in and around the central PA area. So if you're around there, definitely look him up. Look up any IWC show. Go support the indies, for God's sakes. I know I need to do that as well too. I'm gonna look up some PWX around here in the Keysport area, because that's not too far away from my neck of the woods. But go check out the indies, because you're gonna see quite possibly the stars of tomorrow, and you'll be like, oh, I remember when that guy was wrestling in this high school gym.
I just wanted to say really quick that hopefully we can all make the show in Clearfield.
I already have it requested off.
Nice.
What's the date of that again?
The 12th, I think.
October the 12th. It is a Saturday.
12th. Okay.
Yes.
I just kind of jumping off point on that. I actually saw I forget his name in NXT now. It's like something wild. Shima Zion, or aka DJ Z in Impact. I actually saw Shima Zion wrestle for IWC in Clearfield, Pennsylvania. So I mean, you literally can have the opportunity to see stars of tomorrow. So go check out indies.
Beef. Once upon a time, we saw one Sterling James Keenan wrestle in an armory in Altoona, and that man grew up to become one Corey Graves.
And
nice.
And a quick little side note, piggybacking off of that, Mr. Sterling was also used to be, I don't know if he still is licensed to do so or not, but he was a piercer at True Image Tattoo Studios in New Kensington, which is where I've gotten all but 2 of my tattoos at. So,
no kidding.
Yeah, no shit.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Badass.
Yeah, I remember hearing his name talked about in the shop, and I remember seeing his name on the list of people on the shop there for quite some time. I mean, he's obviously not there now, but yeah, I'm not sure.
What's the name of that place?
True Image Tattoos, or True Image Tattoo Studio. It was in New Kensington, in like the outskirts of New Ken, Parnassus.
Not a sponsor, but they could be.
They could be. I don't know. Maybe I'll talk to them too.
Who was our second sponsor, by the way?
It's me. It's CGD.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Wow.
Go ahead, Beef. I'll let you feel that one.
I would love to. Yeah. So we always love to thank our boy, the illustrious Tigerbomb Tom, for all the work that he does, is putting us out there on his page, Casual Gaming Dad, and the Casual Gaming Dad's Corner. So we want to, send you guys over there as well. If you're not already a fan of his on Facebook, go on, subscribe to the page, because like I said, he's done
and the YouTube
doing the Lord's work and pushing the P3. Yeah.
Wow.
You heard me.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
We're all going to hell.
It's okay. It's not technically Sunday yet, but yeah. I mean, we can't say enough. We can't say enough how much we appreciate all the publicity he's given us. So do us a solid and go and like his Facebook, and yes, subscribe on YouTube as well, and look him up on Twitch. He likes to do some twitching sometimes. So yeah, twitch it up.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, this has been another wonderful, at least for me, episode of the Colin Tie-Up. I enjoy these. I enjoy listening to the arguments. I think they're a load of fun. So for our 2 arguers tonight, the beers, Tigerbomb Tom, Beef the Legend, and look, it doesn't matter if he was involved in it or not. He is still your reigning, defending, undisputed Cruiserweight champion of the world. Poop the Bard, baby. I am for the very strange episode, very nice Alec Ransom, which you won't get next time. Trust me, I'll berate you until the cows come home. Alec Ransom. We appreciate you listening to the Colin Tie-Up, brought to you by the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast. Have a good night, everybody.